Some of you keen-eyed observers may have noticed in the end of my last episode of this car, the interior looked a tad different. Well, great job, buddy. I did pretty much overhaul the whole inside of this car, and thanks to Corbeau, much like the previous upgrades I've done to this car, this change has made driving and living with the car noticeably better. But how do we get here? Let's take a trip back in time.
Do you want to make your old and aged 2004 piece of junk look like a new and modern 2006 piece of junk? Well, look no further than this pile of garbage. Now that I've gotten most of the things I want to get done on this car, aside from power adders, I can finally get to the one thing that I've wanted to do since I got the car, is change out the interior, because it is ugly. It is beige, it is boring, it is just a boring place to be. Luckily for me, Audis are very unreliable, so B6s and B7s are breaking down and blowing up every day, which means that there's part outs everywhere. And thanks to that, I've been able to source multiple interior pieces from multiple different B7 A4s. Because the interiors in both cars are essentially the same, minus a few upgrades, but they fit. And the beige is just not doing it for me. Black is where it's at, and obviously this isn't really a performance modification, but I'd like it to be a nice place to be, and something that just doesn't feel like I'm driving to bingo on a Sunday. I don't know who spec'd out this car, because who wants a beige interior? It's, I don't know. And it's nothing special. Audis are, at least now, known for their interiors, and nothing too special about that one. So I've got a pile of garbage here. I've got seats, door cards, carpeting, dashboard, center console, everything you would need for an interior. It's from 2 different part outs. I've been able to source a lot of parts for this car from a part out. I did the transmission and the bumpers and the side blades, and now the interior from multiple different part outs. So another thing that really makes me want to get rid of this interior is the seats are super, super unbolstered. So something I got to change. Obviously, these stock seats from a B7 are no better, so we're going to change that. But on the off chance that I need to sell this car in the future, I'm not going to sell it with a black interior and beige seats. So yeah, nothing really exciting power-wise in this episode. However, we've got interior, and we're going to go with some new seats. So if you've followed my channel for a little while, you can probably guess who I got seats from. Our friends at Corbeau. So this is my Corbeau FX1 Pro racing seat, and don't worry about the hood, the paint is already screwed, so just setting it right on there. There's not too much to say about this. It's a fixed back racing seat, it's cloth. You have several options when you order these, but I just went with the cloth seats. It has a nice vinyl trim on the end to give it a little flair. It has holes for harnesses up top, on the sides, and down here. There's a hole right through here, and you can actually remove this cushion. There's a hole right down here that is not for pooping. And there's a little split here for your harnesses if you decide to go with a 5 or a 6 point, which at some point I probably will. And fun fact, this kind of looks like a face.
Starting with the door panels is probably the more rewarding method, since the dashboard, seats, center console, and carpet take a lot more effort. The doors, though, those are quick and easy, and if I'm lucky, I'll only break a couple plastic clips. One thing that's kind of funny, I got the rear door cards and front door cards from 2 different B7s, so now the back of the car looks like it has a Bose sound system while the front doesn't. So, some shameless audio up-badging, I guess. The next, slightly more difficult task is removing all of the boat anchor seats. Then it's on to the most dreaded task, dash and center console. There's about 1,000 hidden bolts holding this thing together, and right when you think you've removed all of them, there's 15 more hidden somewhere else. And every plastic edge hurts my fingies. Apparently, I didn't film the removal of the carpet, probably because I was preoccupied with how gross it was, but the new stuff is much nicer and smells way less moldy. I've also gotten myself a newer steering wheel from an 8V A3. There's a whole thing about getting a single stage airbag versus a dual stage that I won't go into, but it is important to research if you're doing this to a street car. I, however, got very frustrated trying to figure out the wiring, so getting this thing to actually function will wait for another day. And before going ahead with the Corbeau seats, I wanted to make sure these ones worked, which made for a lot of unnecessary heavy lifting. But it does look better.
All right, there we are. So, luckily, everything went in okay. It's not perfect, but it'll do. For example, when I got all the interior from the other car, it was an automatic. So the shifter boot and everything is the same as it was before. I mean, it's all just aesthetic, so it's not a big deal. And I'm pretty sure the B7s have a different handbrake because with everything in place, it doesn't fit with the handbrake lever. So for now, I just don't have the trim that goes around this thing. It's not a big deal. And then I gotta work on some of this stuff. It's okay. I decided to go with the wood trim over the silver trim just because I think it looks a little classier, but it doesn't matter. The stuff will just come off. Also, like any other B6 or B7, the glove box is broken, and I just don't have it in here right now. Maybe I just won't put it back. It's an item that always fails, and I'm not gonna waste my time trying to fix it right now. It's added weight, like an extra ounce. And then center console, another common failure point. The cover is not here, but the good part about B7 interiors, they come with two cup holders down here instead of just a cup holder in the center and then this little guy up here. So everything is pretty much together, so let's take it apart again.
And by taking it apart, I of course mean upgrading to these Corbeau FX1s.
With these Corbeau seats, I'm gonna drop a lot of weight in the car, and it's gonna make driving, at least in an autocross sense, a lot easier. So let's take this out, and let's actually see how much weight I'm gonna be saving. I've got a luggage scale, and it is 60 pounds. That's unreal. And passenger seat, I'd imagine weighs the same. So we're talking 120 pounds that I'm taking out of the car. Obviously, the new seats are gonna weigh something, but I would guess I'm saving at least 50 pounds, which is pretty good. And that's just up front. The rear seats, I think are even heavier, the backs. So how much do those weigh? 62 pounds is 10 pounds. So altogether, got 70 in the back, 120 up front. So almost 200 pounds in just seats that I'm taking out of the car.
I also weighed the new seats, apparently didn't film that either, but they came in at 25 pounds each with the mounts attached. So I've successfully removed 140 pounds just in interior. This part usually takes the longest, trying to find the right seating position, especially when the seats are going to be fixed in place. Now, to get to my ideal height, I did have to modify the bracket slightly thanks to my oblong torso. Corbeau, you heard nothing. I know there's no returning them after this anyway, but why would I want to? And obviously I can't just bolt the seats in and call it good. I do still need to swap over the seatbelt hardware and harness. There are some other sensors like the passenger airbag sensor that would be good to be swapped over if this was a daily driver. But since this is more of a race car, and to be honest, I gave up trying to figure that out, I'm just gonna have to live with some dash lights. But after all that, it's finally done.
And now, what better way to test out the seats than taking it to Autocross? I do this with pretty much every video for this car. Do a mod, take it to Autocross, review, see how it goes. And this is no different. I'm back at Road America for Winter Autocross, and I'm gonna see how they do. I can tell you now, they're not long distance seats. If you want long distance comfortable seats, you want something like the RRS or something reclinable. These ones, they're race day seats. I can tell just by driving with them the short distance that I'm hugged quite a bit more, and they feel very, very firm. And with all the weight reduction in the car, the new transmission, everything, it should feel quite a bit quicker than it did before. So we'll see. Let's get in the car and I'll do a quick review, but that's about it for this video.
To the music in my head, I got you something that I know you can't forget. I keep them guessing like they never know what comes next. Say yes, say yes. Don't have to listen to what anybody says. I hold the bag and yes, I'm bringing home the bread. I'm shaking bacon until everybody's fed.
So far I've done a few laps with this new setup, and it's quite a bit better. These seats hold you in place so much more than your average seat, and as they should. If they didn't, I would be kind of upset. But this is one of those things where, like, once you have it, you just don't have to worry so much about that particular part of racing. Like, you have the support, so you don't have to be fighting the seat. You don't have to be like bracing yourself against the door or the center console, which I definitely had to do before. This has made the car a lot more controllable, and you might, like, if you haven't done an upgrade like this, you probably might think that I'm like talking a little crazy, but it does make a huge difference. And the only thing that would make this better is if I had harnesses to just keep me right here all the time. So at that point, you're only focusing on steering and driving and not bracing yourself. It makes for quite an improvement. So anyway, that's it for this install. I'm very happy with these seats. They make the car feel a lot more race-oriented, a lot less floppy, a lot less heavy. I've dropped over 100 pounds from the car, and yeah, it's just a lot more enjoyable to be inside of. The overall black interior is just a much better place to be It's still a hoopty, but it's quite a bit nicer. Together with the transmission and this interior upgrade, this car is better. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.
Can't keep this all to myself.